Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to Talking Shit. It's your boy, the Sophisticated Jerk. And today, man, I wanted to cover the story that's been, kind of hitting the news about the New York City police force overtime, sex scandal that's been going on. So before we jump into some of the videos and stuff, let me give some background on this. So I'll say the two main people that's involved in this whole scandal is the chief of the department, Jeffrey Madry, and Officer Lieutenant Quetisha Epps. And Epps recently, I think she was under investigation for her overtime sheets and stuff. So last year she made over 400,000 and her annual salary is 204K. And the rest of that was on overtime, which is, outrageous. It's going to trigger like HR audits and stuff when people are racking up that much overtime. So she's in an administrative role, which I know that pissed off a lot of cops because I was looking at some of the comments some of the cops made. They were like, how the hell is somebody racking up that much overtime in an administrative role? Typically I don't even think the investigators on, murders and major crimes are even racking up that much overtime. So for a person to be in an administrative role, it definitely looks hella fishy and probably triggered those internal audits and stuff. So once those audits kind of started coming out and they started looking at her pay, that's when I guess she kind of threw her boss, Jeffrey Madry under the bus, talking about, he, kind of preyed on her financial struggles and he gave her the overtime, for sexual favors and stuff like that. So she, started kind of putting him under the bus, throwing him under the bus, and he had to come out and, kind of deny the allegations. He did admit that it was consensual, well, from his side, that the overall situation was consensual and, she's just kind of getting back at him, because, the lights on her, like she was doing timesheet mismanagement, falsifying time sheets and stuff like that. So it's kind of turned out to a whole mess, but the whole, man, we got to do better, man. Stop. I, I'm only 45 and this guy's got to be in his like late 50s. And I heard it from numerous people, man. Don't play with your job. Don't play with your career. So for both of them to make it this high and, I think I was looking at his background, 30 years in the police force, to climb the ladder that fast and, kind of throw it at risk just to have like an office fling is crazy. And her, I think she spent over 20 years. So, he recently just resigned, before I guess he got fired and stuff. Cause I know the police commissioner, I forgot her name. Let me look it up real quick. Jessica Tish, she's, I think, have 29 officers resigned recently. So she ain't messing around. She clearing house. And I think Lieutenant Epps had to resign early also. So, there still might be coming like more stuff out of that. They might get fired. Who knows? But yeah, that whole situation is a mess. So let me go ahead and play the first clip and kind of give you guys more background on this. So this first clip's from Viral News. They did a good job, like kind of giving the background on the whole story, and we'll take it from there and build up on that.
Who shoveled in more than $400,000 last year, filed for retirement this week, and then was suspended amid an internal affairs probe into her astronomical overtime. The Post has learned. Lieutenant Quetisha Epps will retire just shy of 20 years with the department. Sources said, an early...
My bad, I said Quetisha. It's Quetisha, whatever the hell. But yeah, I got it now.
Exit that will impact her pension and cost her a $12,000 a year supplement for cops who reach the 2-decade mark. Leaving money on the table is seemingly uncharacteristic for Epps, who raised eyebrows by pulling in roughly $204,000 in overtime last year for her administrative job in NYPD Chief of Department Jeffrey Madry's office. Payroll records show. Sources told the Post that Epps' whopping overtime was capped after the Post's exclusive report last month on her pay. She was also told she'd be put back on patrol, an apparently unappetizing prospect after her cushy desk job. According to the sources, there is no way she was going to go out on patrol, one source told the Post. Epps, 51, also faced an...
See, she was like, shit, I ain't going back in them streets. She done got that desk job, cush. She was like, I'm bringing I'm bringing everybody in the office down. So that's why, man, when you get in them leadership roles, your job is to have a fair environment. If you can't give a majority of the people overtime, don't do it. Like, stay away from this type of stuff. I don't care if you got beauty pageants in your office. You leave that alone, man. Just this is why, even the old quote was like, "Hey, man, you don't do crimes with like some females and stuff because they when the pressure hits, they definitely gonna, they gonna talk. They ain't gonna go down by them damn selves." So when she kind of got caught and they were talking about, "Hey, you're gonna have to go out there. You want to make this money?" She's like, "Mm-mm, I'll file lawsuits on y'all."
Internal affairs investigation into her overtime, sources said. Investigators were probing allegations she falsified overtime hours and signed off on the time slips herself, as well as complaints over her coming into work late, leaving early, or not showing up at all.
Yeah, so she's screwed, and that's what I'm saying. Is if you sign off on your own time sheets, typically you got to have like your direct supervisor sign off, and depending on what like how many hours that you're working in overtime. And with her, it was like a crazy amount. It had to be like two levels up, kind of where the places I work and stuff. So, I know in a police department, they typically have a protocol where it's just like numerous people have to sign off on that. So if she signed off on them herself, then yeah, she's screwed on that tip.
The sources said. Records showed that last year, she worked nearly 1,627 hours of overtime on top of her regular shift, an average of roughly 74 hours a week. The overtime, plus her $164,477 base salary, pushed Epps' total compensation past $400,000 and made her the highest paid NYPD employee.
So that's crazy right there. 1,600 overtime hours. Like, and this is the sad thing about people that lack common sense. Cause it's just like, man, you don't go over the extreme. That's damn near another full-time job. So yeah, when people that's why, man, you just don't even get yourself involved with this type of stuff. It's like, man, I understand people have those temptations and desires, but leave that shit alone, man. Like, because somebody with like this, they don't know how to stop. They gonna keep taking and taking and taking. And in this case, like I said, it's just like, man, you got a whole nother full-time job damn near on your timesheet, pushing you way over the thing. And then you're in an administrative role where, you got the investigators, like I said earlier, the people that ain't even getting a fourth of probably that overtime that actually need it. That is probably like could use that time to solve cases and stuff. So yeah, it's crazy how the people just they don't process information and be like, nah, man, I'm doing a little too much. I don't want the light shine on me. Let me just get some here and there and stuff.
By comparison, her boss, Madry, made roughly $292,000 the same year, records show. Epps' eye-watering overtime rankled many rank-and-file cops. What administrative work requires you to stay there 115 to 120 hours every King month to apply that type of money? One Bronx cop griped to the Post last month.
See, yeah, that's the cop that I was telling you. He was like, man, we out here struggling, and there's a shortage in cops in some areas too, and they out there they busting their tail, and you got these people just like abusing the system and stuff like that. But all right, let me pull up this other clip that kind of breaks down, Jeffrey Madry, how he kind of had to resign and stuff like that. So they start covering some of those details. So let me jump into that real quick.
Former NYPD Chief Jeffrey Madry showing little expression as his lawyers address the media on the sexual misconduct allegation he's now facing. They said today there's more to the story. Let's get out live to Lori Bornaro, live in the financial district outside his attorney's office. Lori.
And Ellen, Jeffrey Madry's attorney denies the allegations and says the sexual relationship was consensual. And he says he has the evidence to prove it. Jeffrey Madry did not say a word, but he stood alongside his attorney, who told reporters his client is far from a predator, but instead a beloved member of the community, a cop's cop, he called him. Madry, once the department's highest ranking uniform officer, resigned last Friday. He's accused of
that brother looks scared, defeated. And see, man, that's why you don't want to be that guy that's like got to stand up there at the podium, like, because you could keep it to yourself and stuff. Because even she was like, he was predatory using his position of power. And there was other females that filed gripes about him. So now he kind of has a pattern. And he's somewhat, even if it might not be till the story she's telling, by him admitting that it was consensual. It's like, hey, you are doing inappropriate stuff in, the work environment, and you are like the top position in that the police department. So it's just like, I know, like I was in in certain organizations where they have like a rank structure file like that, like militaries like that, you can't fraternize with your employees or subordinates. Maybe if they worked in a whole nother precinct or something like that, then you could have a relation where it's like a clear separation, but you can't mess with people within your office like that. So I mean, he was screwed and wrongdoing from the jump anyways. But yeah, look how he be standing at that podium.
Of trading sexual favors for overtime. NYPD Lieutenant Quathisha Epps filed a complaint Saturday with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, alleging Madry engaged in a more than year-long effort to coerce her into performing unwanted sexual favors in exchange for overtime opportunities. She says that included intercourse in the office, and according to publicly available payroll data, Epps made a salary last year of over $164,000. But after overtime was factored in, she took home more than $400,000. She says after refusing his advances in October, Madry retaliated. Today, Madry's attorney refuting those claims, saying Epps was upset she didn't get a promotion, and says he has evidence, including phone calls and racy pictures Epps sent to Madry to start a relationship.
Lieutenant Epps got caught with her hand in the cookie jar and is trying to deflect her wrongdoing by making these allegations against Chief Madry in the hopes that she'll get away with part or all of her scheme. However, the truth is, Lieutenant Epps had a consensual adult relationship, albeit for a short time, with Jeff.
He just threw her on the bus. The lawyer's like, look, Lieutenant Epps is a freak. So so everybody's snitching on each other. So that's what I'm saying, man. This is the crazy thing where it's just like, man, people like when it comes to their livelihood, if they get in any little bit of trouble, they gonna talk. So that's why it's just like better to stay away from that. It's like, man, there might be some attractive person at your office. Let that stuff go. Don't even step into it. And that's why I was saying earlier, it's just like, man, you got to stop putting your desires and your temptations over your career, which you done built up for. You done worked hard, get yourself in a certain range. It's like, man, like if you're in a career, don't do it. The only people that should be like tempted by messing with other people, you work at like Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, and some fast food that, hey, by all means, do you. But when you start getting into career professions, like don't even fall to them temptations.
And we've reached out to Epps' attorney, but so far have not heard back. Alan?
Hey, lawyer, quick question here before you go. Did the attorney respond to published reports Madry is living in Georgia?
Ellen, yes, the attorney disputed those published reports that Madry's wife banished him to Georgia. He says clearly you can see he's living here now and he is working as an attorney. Alan?
Damn. So my man, he was married too. So that's a whole nother element. Cause yeah, I was looking at it. I think he got like 3 kids and, he was married. So the NY Post said that his wife threw him up at the crib. Like, so not only is he, going to face whatever, penalties come out of this whole, his misconduct. Cause it's like, he still could technically, I'm not sure, but I know some places like, man, you step on them lines, they could just go back and once they do the investigation, fire you, where you could lose your pension and stuff like that. And shoot, if his wife, all this played out where he admitted to like a consensual affair, pretty much, he's pretty much going to lose that divorce thing. So shoot, she's going to get half the pension, however that plays out because of what he did. Then, he's got to get a lawyer to fight all these like legal things that he's dealing with at the job. So just look how much money he's got to expend now because of, like I said, just you acting on your desire. So it's like, man, you got to get a lawyer for your legal actions at work. You might lose some benefits from the job. Then now you got to do a whole divorce thing, and you about to get cleaned out because you're on record stepping out. So now you got 3 potential things that's going to probably clean you out because you don't know how to keep it to yourself. So, gentlemen, man, that's why I love these type of stories, and I start covering them. Learn from other people's mistakes. Like, we don't have to go through all this nonsense. That's why I saw this when I was like coming up and people told me this stuff. I listened. I'm like, I'm staying away from it. I love my money too much. I respect my time and my efforts I put in this stuff. It's like, y'all better go jerk off in a cleaning closet. You see a girl, you better go, brothers, y'all get a passport if you want to go and mess with all kind of women. Don't do it at your job, man. Respect your time and your efforts that you put in this stuff. But there's one last video, and this is this of him, his interview after he kind of resigned and all that. So I want to go ahead and play some of this. And this is what I'm saying, man. When you got to sit there and you got to kind of admit to the wrongdoing and the fuckery you've been doing at your job, it's just, man, don't put yourself in this position.
Just wanted to come out and just stand up for myself and tell everyone that these accusations are not true.
Well, let's get into a little bit and ask about the one that is making the most headlines. Did you force sexual favors from a subordinate, NYPD Lieutenant Quatisha Epps, starting in June 2023? She's a ranking officer. Did you force that in exchange for overtime approval and other perks signed off by you?
Absolutely not.
What happened here?
Me and Lieutenant Epps, we worked together. Starting in early 2022. We were working together for about a year and a half, and we were working together. One thing led to another. We had an office fling, and that's all it was an office fling.
Consensual relationship, you're saying?
Absolutely consensual.
How long did that last?
He says Shorty was a side chick.
Got together a couple of times. There was really nothing to it. There was no romance. We weren't girlfriend and boyfriend. We had an office fling, and that's all it was.
You're the chief of department. Some may look at that and say it may have been consensual, but you had far-reaching powers, and this was a subordinate. Do you think that was appropriate?
It wasn't appropriate for me to be in a relationship with anyone.
And so let me be clear. You're saying that you had a...
See, and that's what I was talking about earlier, the fraternization stuff. I know like police, military, like heavily structured organizations, man. It just, when you got public safety and things of that nature as your like mission, your job focus, it's like, man, you can't have too much like silliness going on. So yeah, I mean, he's just even by admitting this stuff, he's actually he's screwed. So like I said, not only could it impact his job, but also in the divorce stuff that he's got to deal with his wife. That he damn near handed her the case. So all she got to do is lawyer up, be like, benefits going, kick them over to me, and I need that bread. So yeah, he's screwed.
Consensual relationship with Ms. Epps. And that she's essentially lying in this EEOC complaint. What do you think her motivation is to do this now?
Would you mind if I answered that? Because,
that lawyer was like, damn that. Brother was like, thank you, lawyer, for answering this one. That lawyer's like, we ain't about to get in trouble. let me respond right now. But that lawyer, that's what I'm saying. He got to pay the lawyer to do all this stuff too. So yeah, I mean, he made a good salary, but it's not like he's a multi-millionaire. It's not like Dude Diddy or something like that, where he could just throw millions out there. So man, I could just imagine like how much he's got to spend on the lawyer fees, and now he's got to get a divorce attorney if his wife goes that route. This brother just bleeding costs, man.
What happened here seems to be that Lieutenant Epps is under investigation internally by the NYPD since October. And the allegations are that not only was she putting in for excessive overtime, but that she was actually putting in for overtime that she had not completed or done, so that she was effectively stealing time. So when she put in her retirement waivers, 2 days later, the NYPD suspended her. And they suspended her because of suspicion that she had committed a crime, which is stealing overtime from the NYPD.
It was abrupt.
Yes.
And some would say, well, if you did anything...
So that's the thing, because like if they audited your time cards and stuff and you ain't do that time, she's probably gonna have to pay a lot of that money back. So that's why, like I said, all this is alleged because they still do an investigation. But she might have been like, okay, if I say this against him, then maybe that would kind of get me off the hook or get the spotlight off me. But that's why it's just like you don't put yourself in a position, because when people have that duress and they got their back against the wall, that duress mindset, man, they gonna latch on to anything, and it's your job not to put yourself in these situations, man. So yeah, that's why I keep emphasizing, man. Don't, man, look, you better figure out other ways to get those desires and temptations out. Stop playing with your career, because it's costly. Just think, like I said, just for him having this like fling with this female, look how much cost. It ain't worth it. It's not like Epps was Beyonce back in, or something like that. So it ain't even worth it, fellas.
You didn't feel you did anything wrong. Why did you leave so abruptly?
Well, there was a couple of things going on when I made the decision. I was already making a decision, and it was really weighing heavy on my mind. I was entering 35 years, almost completing 35 years of city service. I knew that I was going to have to fight, and I didn't want to have the constraints of the police department, being the chief of the department, holding me back from fighting properly for my innocence. When you're in the police department, I can't say certain things. I can't do certain things. I have to have the Chief Madry persona. When you talk about my work speaks for itself. Driving down crime as the chief of the department, all right? What I've done out there in the communities, what I've done in Brooklyn North, all right? I have given so much to the city, so much, and I've never asked anyone for anything in return, all right? Countless people who can never repay me for what I've done for them, all right? And I've never looked for repayment, not even from the lieutenant. So for her to try and spin a story like this is very hurtful, because I've given so much to the people of this city.
During our conversation,
and I'm gonna go ahead and end it there, but yeah, I get the gist of it, man. That's definitely a messy case, and it just, like I said again, man, it emphasizes, man, leave that stuff out of your life. It ain't worth it, man. Ain't nobody worth your career, your livelihood, and if you do like see somebody you might like, y'all need to ask for a transfer to a different department or something. There's ways you could do it and stuff. You got to go talk to your, I think, ethics people, and just be upfront with it, man. Don't put your career at risk, man. So this was a case of like lack of dick discipline and bad coochie management, reckless dick and bad coochie management, and they both about to took it to the ringer for just doing dumb stuff. And the sad thing too is just like I see she had like 3 kids also, and there was one thing that said she was married, so I'm not too sure if she was or divorced, whatever. And he's married, has kids. A lot of times when people get in these situations too, it's just like, man, if you're trying to build legacy or generational wealth, it's just like, man, when you do these type of acts and you step over the boundaries, man, you're gonna probably wipe that out. You didn't, not only that, you just embarrass like your kids, because you're supposed to be kind of leading by example. So it's just like if you're telling your kids to like maneuver a certain way, but you're out here running a muck in the office and stuff like that. It's just like, man, who are you to kind of be like telling them now? They could be looking at you like, shit, you done did all this. I'm gonna go out here and do it. Then they got to face the embarrassment. Like, man, my dad was out here running wild, like doing this and stuff. And, my mom's out here running reckless and stuff like that. She a whole dot at work. So yeah, just think about the larger picture. It's like, man, if I step over these boundaries, I could lose out in divorce court. I could lose my benefits I built up from my job. I could lose the respect from my family members. And when you look at stuff in a totality, man, I think it paints that picture that a lot of this stuff ain't worth it. Like I said, if you still have them urges, man, go rub one off in a cleaning closet, man. Go take your ass over and get you a passport travel or something, man. Like, or if you really like somebody at your office, man, go get a divorce, do it clean. Like I said, ask for that transfer to another department, so you just don't play with your paper. And as far as overtime and that type of stuff, man, it ain't worth it. If somebody's the way I looked at it when I'm in like leadership roles, I need to see your workload. Does it justify you doing overtime? Okay, what projects do you have to do? And then, it's got to go through your supervisor. Like, hey, do you recommend this? There should be a whole process around this stuff. You don't just do it because of favors, because if whether it's sexual, if they're your friend, you like somebody, and if you can't do it for the masses, just leave it alone. Like, nope, you got financial problems, you better go get your ass another job or cut back some expenses. Like, you offer counseling at that point, but don't pull yourself into bullshit, because when people get their back against the wall, trust me, they're gonna take your ass down with them. They ain't gonna think back like, damn, man, this person looked out for me, man. I'm gonna shield them. They're gonna pull you right into their mess, man. So just be fair. But all right, y'all, man, I talked enough, man. I just wanted to touch this because there were so many different elements and stuff like that. So all right, y'all, peace.